Hey guys, all right, welcome. Here we are together again. What we're doing today is we are mounting the Y-axis acme rod. In order to install the acme rod, you need the acme thread. In order to do that, you need the motor with its bracket. The bracket needs to install just the right height so that it lines up with the rod and the coupler. So a lot of concerns, a lot of moving parts here when we're doing this install, so you gotta do one thing at a time. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to install this on the X-axis aluminum bar. That will set the height and the distance, and then everything else will grow from there. In order to do that, thread this on. I'll save you the suspense. I'm gonna bring it right to the middle. So this guy is gonna have to sit right there. These holes, sit right up there like that. This thing moves in and out. This bracket must be placed with the motor exactly in line. By putting this at some arbitrary location, there, we'll mark our holes, we'll drill from the top, we install the bracket for the motor. Okay. Alright, so the hole size difference here on these guys is about 22 millimeters. A drill from the top, 22 millimeters apart. And that should get me a pretty good starting point for understanding how to install the Y-axis motor. Drilled the holes. Well, let's install it, get this thing back on. Alright, now that the brass acme thread's in, now we take the actual acme rod, thread it through, see how straight and true it is, and then tighten up the nuts on the actual brass nut, and that'll keep it set in place. Once we get it in, then we can start lining up to get our Y-axis motor bracket. So I kept the nut loose, you can see here, but it's within the range of becoming perfectly parallel. So once it is in that parallel spot, tighten those two nuts down, and then start mounting the motor. And then I'm going to drill them out with a step drill. Pretty easy, doesn't have to be precision, but it needs to be wide enough so that I can have a little slack. I remade the bracket and I screwed it on with some fender washers underneath. I installed the motor on the bracket, which is on the bracket that will end up getting welded to the chassis. Now I have to figure out exactly where to install this subassembly. I want to basically just put it right where the motor and the acme thread shaft line up as close as possible. Couplers that I have are basically fuel hose. It's cheap, easy, it'll transfer the torque, and it'll be really forgiving to any type of misalignment. So I figured that if I get it close enough, I think that I might be in good shape. Couplers that I have are basically fuel hose. It's cheap, easy, it'll transfer the torque, and it'll be really forgiving to any type of misalignment. So I figured that if I get it close enough, I think that I might be in good shape. Finally got my bracket welded up, finished, and good to go. And here you can see how aligned that thread is with the motor shaft. Now we're working on the y-axis thread bearings. Now these are the bearings that are basically holding the thread in place on either side of the end of the acme rods. And I've been able to source out some of these very simple bearings. You need 4 for the entire CNC machine, but 2 per rod. And you got to affix them somehow, so I designed and cut out these brackets, so I'm not going to save you the time, and just here they are. So what I need to do is I need to install them on either end of the acme thread for the y-axis. And what that allows me to do is it gets the thread to be nice and straight, and it keeps it in place too. It keeps it from moving forward and backward. You see the thread will pass right through the bracket, but it'll end up getting caught really nicely on the bearing, and you can tighten it down with the set screws. So what you want for the coupler, I said that it would be attached with fuel hose, and this is basically the hose. Okay, I put another rubber hose inside of the bigger hose so that it fits onto this shaft, just like that. And then this guy will end up sitting inside there. Let's do it this way first. Do something like that, and then this guy will fit right in there. Okay. Now that this is set in place, these Vernier calipers are here to measure the distance, the space between the actual rod and the bearing. I don't care what that number is, but I know that it needs to be the exact same distance throughout the entire length of the shaft. So I just hold this in place. You can see that I saw it kind of moving here, but I have it resting on the bracket that I had welded on. All I gotta do is just keep it like that. Make sure that it's the same throughout, and then tack it up.